The Tale of Ise, Chapter 1. The First Crown. Long ago, a man had just come of age. He owned land in Kasuga, Nara, and went hunting there. He spotted two extremely beautiful sisters living there, enchanted their beauty, which seemed out of place in the old capital. He wrote a poem on a piece of his hunting robe, which had a shinobuzuri pattern. As beautiful as young violets in Kasuga, like the pattern on my robe, my heart is in chaos. He composed the poem in an adult-like manner. Perhaps he thought the coincidence of the shinobuzuri hunting robe was quite cool. 道のくの忍ぶ文字ずりたれゆえに乱れ染めにしわれならなくに Like the disorderly pattern of 忍ぶ文字ずり in 道のく Whose fault is it that my heart was disturbed for the first time in my life? The songstone was something like Who is it that has made my heart so turbulent for the first time in my life? In the old days, people used to improvise in this way, enjoying the fierce elegance of the style. This is the end of chapter 1. Here is a brief explanation of Waka poetry. Waka is an ancient form of poetry that developed in Japan and specifically has two main forms, tanka and nagauta. Here we will mainly discuss tanka. A waka is a 5-line poem with 31 syllables per verse and a 5-7-5-7-7 rhythm. The subject of the poem usually describes an emotion or scene, such as nature, the seasons, love, or sorrow. Waka is an important means of expressing beauty and emotional subtlety and is used to describe landscapes and situations that include the author's emotions and thoughts. In addition, since waka is deeply connected to the understanding of Japanese culture and thought, it is an essential component of learning about Japanese history and culture. Incidentally, another well-known waka form is haiku, which is a 17-syllable, 3-line poem, 5-7-5, characterized by the use of seasonal words, kiko. Note that this is a different form of poetry from tanka. In the Heian period, waka, tanka played a very important role not only as literature but also as a social and political communication tool. Chapter 2. Spending time gazing. There was a man. When the capital was moved from Nara to here in Heian-kyo, and the people's houses had not yet been organized, there was a woman in the western part of the capital. She was far superior to ordinary women. She was a person whose heart was more admirable than her outward appearance. It seems that she was not alone, because there was a man who went to her. The blistering man had a friendly chat with her and left. In early March, around the time of spring rain, he sent this Waka poem. 起きもせず、寝もせで夜を明かしては、春の元とて眺め暮らしつ。I spent the night, neither waking nor sleeping. I live in the view of spring. Like a butterfly's dream, when a night dawns in which I neither wake nor sleep, I spent another day in a daze, watching the long rain that only spring can bring. This is the end of chapter 2. Many chapters of this story begin with Once there was a man, but every chapter is about the same man. The man the main character falls in love with is modeled on a real person, Ariwara no Narihira. He is said to have been a very handsome man and an all-around sportsman. His grandfather was an emperor, and his blood lineage is very good. But his father made a big mistake, so there is no chance for Narihira to make it big. He did not care much about his work and lived a rambling life with Waka poetry as his weapon. In those days, a man who could beget offspring was valued. Women of the upper nobility rarely went out and stayed deep inside their homes. They were very shy to show their faces to strangers, and strangers seldom heard their voice of a noble woman. Men who heard the gossip circulated by the women who walked around the noble princesses became interested and often sent passionate Waka poems to the women to woo them. Since Narihira was a master of Waka poetry, it must have been easy for him to seduce women with his skillful use of language. Chapter 3. Once upon a time, there was a man. When he presented seaweed called Hijikimo to a woman he was in love with, he wrote a Waka poem. 思いあらば、むぐらの宿に寝もしなむ。ひじきものには袖をしつつも。If you think of me, we will sleep together in a rough inn. Not Hijikimo, but if you want to lay it down, we can lay down each other's sleeves. This was when the Empress Nijo was an ordinary person who did not even serve the emperor. Chapter 4. Once upon a time, the Empress Dowager lived in a mansion facing Gojo Street in the eastern part of Kyoto. There was a woman who lived in the opposite house to the west of the mansion. The man had been meeting with the woman. Also, he knew it was undesirable. Around the 10th day of the new year, the woman disappeared from the Gojo mansion, but he knew where she was by asking others. However, since it was not a place that an ordinary person would be able to come and go. The man felt a pang of pain as his thoughts grew stronger. The next year, when the plum blossoms were in full bloom, the man went to the house where the woman had lived. But he wept when he realized that the time he had spent with her was in the past. The man lay in the house until after midnight and recited the Waka poem in remembrance of the previous year. 月やあらぬ、春や昔の春ならぬ、我が身は一つ元の身にして、Just as the moon is not the same old moon, spring is not the same old spring. Oh, only I am, as I used to be. And he left in tears when the night was becoming slightly brighter. The woman is Empress Nijo, the wife of Emperor Seiwa, who disappeared from the western side of the house because she had entered the rare palace. Chapter 5. Once upon a time, there was a man. This man secretly visited a place near Gojo in the east. Because it was a secret place, he couldn't enter from the gate and used a broken part of the earth wall that children had trodden down. The owner of the house found out about the man's visit and put a guard on the path every night. The man couldn't meet the woman and could only return home. He wrote a Waka poem. 人知れぬ我が通い地の関森は、よいよいごとにうちもねななむ。I wish the guard of my secret path would sleep, even if it's just for a while every night. The woman was deeply saddened by this Waka poem. Eventually, the owner of the house allowed the man to visit. It's said that this happened when the man was secretly visiting Empress Nijo, and her brothers guarded her when rumors spread in society. Chapter 6. There once was a man. After years and years of courting an unattainable woman, he finally stole her away and fled into the darkest night. As he led the woman along the banks of a river called Akuta, she saw dew on the grass and asked him, "Hey, what's that?" They were far from their destination, and it was late at night. They did not know that this was the place where demons lived. But thunder was rumbling, and it was raining heavily. So he pushed the woman into a dilapidated storehouse, and the man took up a position in the doorway with his bow and arrow case on his back. But inside the storehouse, the demon ate the woman in one bite. She screamed, "Ah!" But her screams were drowned out by the loud noise of the thunder. When dawn finally broke, there was no sign of the woman who he had there. He cried and stamped his feet but it was too late. 白玉か何ぞと人の問いしとき、つゆと答えて消えなましものを。When she asked me if those were pearls or what, I answered, they are dewdrops. I wished I had said dew and disappeared like the dew. It should be noted that eaten by demons is a metaphor, and the woman was actually brought back by the woman's brother. Chapter 7 Waves Come and Go. A man found it hard to live in Kyoto, so he went to the eastern part of Japan. As he passed along the coast on the border between Ise and Owari, he saw the white waves and composed this Waka poem. 糸どしく過ぎゆく方の恋しきに羨ましくも帰る波かな As the days go by and I miss Kyoto, which is getting farther and farther away, the waves that come and go seem enviable to me, as I will never return. This story continues. I will post some videos later about the rest of this story. In this channel, I would like to share you Japanese stories. To ensure you don't miss any updates about Japanese stories, hit the subscribe button and drop a comment saying, I've subscribed. The main character is a playboy, but it seems he really liked Fujiwara no Takaiko, who became the emperor's wife. Click like. See you next one.